All right, folks, I think that says up. Welcome back to Dexter's Lab. So a couple of interesting updates. We're just gonna hop right into it. A bunch of stuff going on in the tech world. Maybe we'll chat about that if folks are interested. But to keep it on topic, as I always do here, I did get a version of Kynto. So the isometric chat, the avatar chat that's powered by YouTube chat, Twitch, Kick, Discord, all that stuff, now technically works in the PSP. It's been a nightmare. I can't exaggerate, I can't say it enough. 2 megabytes of RAM is not enough. Even just some of these image assets that you see on screen here alone are more than 2 megabytes. Ran into all sorts of issues with the garbage collector, with the solution that I basically came up with to implement this. I've offloaded as much as I physically can to the server. We don't have the canvas tag in PSP. We don't have the ability to, do create element in a HTML, so you can't use like DOM manipulation in order to render the world. There's no XML HTTP requests, so that means we can't do AJAX requests. There's obviously no WebSockets or anything as such. I was able to get JSON P requests working. However, we also run into issues with garbage collector and memory there, because if we add additional script tags to the page using document.write, there's only so many times we can do that. So what I've got going on here is essentially this is an image, and it's being rendered on the server side, and the PSP is essentially one of the DOM manipulations it can do is update the source attribute of an image. And I should hit record on this. It's the PSP video. So yeah, we'll just cover it again. Working on a PSP renderer for the Sony 2004 PSP for the Kynto avatar chat system. It's fed by YouTube live chat. We do have it working. So now if I go into Kynto and type into chat, it updates this image dynamically. Oh shit. Wrong keyboard. What happened? Switch over to this computer over here. And this will be the first test from the YouTube live chat onto the PSP tonight. So hopefully the PSP starts up. And hello, I can't pronounce your name, but that looks like Cyrillic, I think. Welcome to the chat. Working with some retro technology tonight. Didn't mean to shout, sorry. Hope all is well in your part of the world. Mine's a little bit chaotic. So essentially right here, all we have is a little image. Still have to offset all these items to match the HTML5 version of the world. So if you take a look here, this is the full HTML5 implementation where you can, interact with the world, you can jump, you have your camera streaming functionality, all the stuff that I use to control streams. The PSP is just going to have a snapshot of that. All we're looking to do is take this, you can't see that. We're just looking to take this area right here, the world, and the avatars. The avatars are generated from people speaking in YouTube chat. So you folks that interact with me tonight, you're getting to show up on a vintage piece of technology. So I guess I'm just going to go ahead and wire this up on local. Let's grab our video ID and activate this system. So the first step is to activate YouTube live chat with the TTS system, so we can hear you and you're part of the stream. So I'll go ahead and do that. All right, it looks like that's active. All right, so now anyone asks any questions, you will directly be part of this. And then I'm going to grab this video ID. And let me just go ahead and reload this in local. Wrong bloody room. But the cool thing is this image updates dynamically based on what room we're in. So we go back into Minefield to see how it instantly updates. And we're about to test this in the PSP, so I do encourage you to test out the chat. This will be the first test live. Alright, what do I need to do now? Okay, I need to come in here on my local and activate this system. Alright, that's active. Brilliant. So my friend said hi. Let's go take a look at the PSP viewer. It is rendering it. Now we're going to build up the PSP and actually see if it's working. I think I left the PSP in a charger too long. It didn't work earlier. So cross your bloody fingers. Come on. Yes! Alright. Now we'll be able to show you some stuff. And hello N10, thank you for testing out the system tonight. If all goes to plan, we'll see your message in the PSP. Let's hope that works. Cross your fingers, please. So, I'm sure if you don't know what the PSP is, it's a 20-year-old game console from Sony. It was one of the first handheld consoles I think Sony did, and it was huge. It was absolutely massive. You bought little game discs for it, and you know, popped them in. Very few projects did what I'm trying to do right now, which is implement games in the PSP web browser. And trust me, they had good reason for that. It has 2 megabytes of RAM available for the web browser. I'm not exaggerating, 2 megabytes. That's it. All right, let's see. Oh, we already ran out of memory. So I'm glad you get to see this. So we're gonna have to go back in and drop our JPEG image quality down back to 10%. I can't believe it. Or why don't we switch to a smaller room? That's the other thing we can do. All right, let's do that. So I'm gonna disable the YouTube chat in this local environment. Okay, that's stopped. Now we're gonna go to a smaller room. It's not gonna look as impressive. Please bear with me. So when I switch rooms over here, this image is gonna update with the rooms and the YouTube chat. And the whole goal is just to get it on this PSP tonight. So let's go to this tiny little PSP test room, and we're gonna spawn in our YouTube chatters again. And I appreciate you guys supporting me and helping me test this. Very kind. All right, active. Okay, so we do have some testers in this room. So if we switch back over here, oh, it looks like shite, but it does technically work. All right. So the first thing we'll do once we get this up is we're gonna go come back in and fix our offsets and see if we can bump up the JPEG quality for these tiny little rooms. Come on. Developing for the PSP, I can't emphasize enough, is one of the most painful things I've experienced as a grown adult. I can't believe I used to make stuff for this when I was a kid, but that's what we had. All right, come on, come in. There we go. All right. So now if I move in the HTML5 version, you're gonna see my character move on this as well. So let's test that out. There we go. Kind of a teleportation, but it works. And if I type into the chat, say on YouTube, let's see what happens. Oh, I didn't activate the. Let's see. Is the YouTube chat active in here? I think it is. What's going on? Codeloch. Let's try one more time. Folks, please make sure you like this video. This is some guy trying to do his thing.
Codeloch says testing chat from YouTube on PSP.
I'm going to put on the PSP. Alright, let's get a zoom into that. We're recording the desktop. So yeah guys, we have YouTube live chat hooked up to the PSP. Awesome. Now my focus is just going to be fixing some of the obvious issues in here. Obviously the avatars are set completely wrong. The math as far as the placement of the isometric tiles is also wrong. So I want to fix that. Let's see if I can kick up this brightness. It's a wee bit better, right? Good. Appreciate that like, buddy. It's very, very helpful. So let's go ahead and update our stats up here. So I'm a professional developer, but I consider myself like a hobbyist developer first. That's why I got into this.
Anton says live on PSP victory hand.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. All right, let's see where you pop up. You might be off screen. Hopefully not. Okay, so if you see, you're at the very top. It's cut off. So we're gonna fix those offsets, but yeah, thank you. You're part of the video now, so I'll be clipping you for the proper video I'm putting together on this. So you see the screen flash about every 10 or so updates. That's because the garbage collector on the PSP is terrible. So I do smooth updates so you don't notice a flash or just notice a loading icon in the bottom right for about 10 updates. And then it has to basically force reload the entire page. And that's just because running into memory errors. And I appreciate additional like that. It helps the channel more than you know. And yeah, I'm probably gonna lose my job very soon, so.
Snappo says awesome. That's 3 likes now. Your support helps others discover this stream.
Big Tech is going through a complete mess in America. It's brutal, man. Absolutely brutal. Yeah, so you'll get to see me on a new job journey. I think the job I'll end up going for is the power company. The power company is still hiring, so, and even poor people have to pay power bills. Ask me how I know. So I think that's a safe bet. But yeah, e-commerce is collapsing in America. It's absolutely collapsing. I know most of you folks watching are not in America, so I don't know what kind of news you're seeing. But I'll tell you, in America, the news isn't covering just how bad it is over here. It's getting bad. Like the middle class is collapsing, and no one I know is doing well. Let's just put it that way. So that's why it's important to have projects and hobbies and stuff to work on to, you know, keep the skills flexing. All right, so what we want to do, right? We want to work on fixing the offsets, and you see my avatars moving about. And if you guys actually type like move left on your screen, you'll see your avatar move on the PSP as well. So I'm genuinely excited to have this working. Like you'll see in the upcoming video just how much effort this has been. And I can just show you some of my notes. And we do have a lot of code to get committed as well. Okay, let's see. Hey, you moved, but you see how you moved like down and to the right, where on the stream you moved to the left. That's one of the problems I have to fix, but it did work, so that's really cool. And thank you for testing that. Very, very cool. All right, give me a minute here while I check everything, and we'll get back into the code. And happy to explain it and explain why I've done what I've done. Tell you, like, YouTube's the only place that seems to care about this sort of stuff. I try and stream in like other places as well, and maybe it's just boring content. But I think we're doing stuff that's a little bit different over here. Appreciate that additional subscriber. That helps us out as well. And it lets you keep track of the project. So I suppose that's the most important thing is do that. All right. So essentially this whole thing you're seeing in PSP is a whole new quote-unquote front end for the avatar chat system. And I've not broken it up yet. Like it all exists within this 220 lines of code. And it's a good example of just how much you can do with a little bit of coding and drive, right? Because even knowledge can be acquired if you are motivated enough. And I don't think I've ever had a purpose to use Canvas on the server side before. It's always been like, you know, basic manipulation. I forget the name of the libraries. Not image magic, but you know, just basic operations. So it's pretty cool that we can do all that in the server, but we do have to fix offsets. So to do that, we've got a couple of things we look at. So we go over into the HTML5 version, and I go into the system registry, and we look up like an item, like let's look up cube. Now let's look up Scottish flag, because who doesn't like a Scottish flag? This one. All right. So there's basically like a database that contains all the items in the system. And some of the properties that it contains, I've got a camera in front of the screen, so I can't really see. But one of the properties somewhere here is offset. So we can use that, hopefully, from this system and pull it right into our server-side implementation. So let's take a look at what properties we might need. So I've built like a really slimmed down API for the PSP. Because my original goal was to have the entire game rendered on the PSP. Like no server-side interaction beyond providing just basically an API that provides the state of the avatar chat. So, you know, the tiles, the items, and the avatars and the chat is contained within. But quickly learned that we cannot insert elements dynamically on the PSP browser. And that's very bad. And then the next thing I tested was essentially when you hit the page, there would be a cache of elements already loaded, because we can tween elements, we can control style properties of elements in the PSP, we just can't create or remove them. So I thought, maybe I'll create like 10 empty image tags that we use for avatars, and then we'll poll the server for chats and their location, and then move them around based on that. There is no support for AJAX/XML HTTP requests in the PSP. Not at all. Doesn't exist. So that was a problem. I remember back 20 years ago when I got into coding as a kid, before XML HTTP requests was widely supported, that there was something called JSON-P. Essentially what you do is you stand up a JSON response in the API, but you wrap it in a JavaScript function. And that JavaScript function that contains that state object is then injected into the page as a script tag dynamically. And then when you do that, when you append that script tag to the page, it invokes the function that's wrapping that JSON-P. So say we call it update state. I'll call that on the existing JS running in memory on the page with that new state object. So really cool way to get by not having the ability to do basic fetch or AJAX requests. The problem is we cannot create elements dynamically in the PSP. So that led me down another route where I essentially built like a shadow DOM in memory of all the tiles, images, and even script tags. And then I'd use document open and document write, and then document close in order to regenerate all the DOM on the page to avoid a server-side re-render. That did work. However, quickly learned that unlike modern browsers, when you do a document.write with additional script, JavaScript into the page, the PSP actually clears out all the executing code in memory. So that means your state is destroyed, that means any timers or intervals that you had running are obliterated. So I was like, well, I had to think about that for a little while. And then I was like, can't I just document.write the state back into the script? That did work, essentially. But then I ran it into memory issues because the avatars take up a certain amount of space in the hard disk when you load them into the page. We have 2 megabytes of RAM on the PSP. So even though I came up with like a stateless renderer that regenerates the entire document object model using document.write, ran into memory issues. And then the other thing that made me not like document.write was it creates like a flashing effect on the PSP. Right now, we only have to do that, you know, every 10 or so seconds. On the PSP previously, it was happening once a second. So my really smart, convoluted solution didn't look very good. So what I've ended up settling on was generating a canvas rendition of the entire chat and server side, and it essentially generates a JPEG. And then one of the few things we can do in the PSP browser is update the source of an existing image element. So in order to do some cache busting, I have to append a random string to the end of the JPEG URL, and then that essentially just reloads it, and then we get in a updated state of the game, visual state. The problem is, if we do that more than 15 times, essentially the garbage collector in the PSP doesn't run, so it's continuing to store all these previous frames, that's literally what they are, in memory, causing the PSP to essentially crash. So what I've been able to do is kind of a half and half solution. We have about 10 smooth updates where you just see a little loading icon at the bottom right of the PSP. And then after 10 of those updates, I trigger a full page reload, which does trigger the GC or the garbage collector in the PSP. So yeah, that's what I got for you. I like how my tech talk scared everyone off. It's alright, it means we haven't found the right audience yet. Very happy it is working. So let's figure out our offset problem. So I think I have an API request called /registry. Let's take a look at that. We do. All right, let's take a look at some JSON, folks. Okay. Alright, so we have offset X and offset Y, which we want to respect in the PSP renderer. So we're going to pull that in. We're going to have to go up to our.
I wish I could code this kind of stuff, but I can only work with consuming API endpoints and building websites.
Tanner, appreciate you. And I think you have a great head start, like just knowing how to do that and being comfortable and confident in it. I think the main thing that you need is just something you want to build. Like if you could, you got it, honestly. what's the project you worked on that you're like the most proud of so far? I know most, like, a lot of us don't feel confident about the code we write. I definitely feel that. We're doing shorthand for properties here because I do plan on eventually consuming some of this in the PSP, and that saves us some. That saves us some memory. Okay. Alright, let's see. What language you working in, Tin? Okay. And one of the things I want to just say about the system built here, like if you look at any of the source code I have open at any one time, like it looks relatively simple, and that's because it is. Like a big part that makes all this possible is just building things in a modular way and not try to do it all in one go, all in one. Like just breaking it up as much as possible. If you look at this is super simple. It's just a little Express app that's not even connected to my main project here. It just consumes it and manipulates it to what I need. Alright, so we do need to get... When you see me like endlessly scrolling, that's because I'm kind of loading everything back into my memory. Okay, so we want to get our item data. And I accidentally delete something. Right off, let me see. I don't have this commit source code. Yeah, there we go. Oops. Okay. It's OX for shorthand. We're just pulling our offset data. OY. And I think there's a flip property that we want to respect. You can flip images in the HTML5 builder. If I come here and I click rotate, you can rotate stuff. So I want to respect that in the PSP rendition as well. Where's my inspector? Yeah, so it's just rotation. Another property we might want to respect is our scale Y. Scale X and initial Z is to do with stacking. It's already getting a little bit deeper than I want, but that's perfectly fine. That's how coding is. It's rarely as simple as you think it is initially. Do R for rotation. Well, we'll use 0 instead of false. It's the same thing essentially. memory settings if I make this request in the PSP. What else we want? S for scale. We'll default our scale to 1. I think that should be enough. So this is the object that we consume as well in our server-side renderer. What's going on here? Oh, I can't use this one. We're using it for that. We should add additional like this at the read counter.
You're amazing. 4 likes now. Let's keep pushing Kynto to the front.
Yeah, could you imagine how crazy it'd be if we actually got a bunch of people on this? Be cool. That's all of us it takes to do that, but let's continue on here. So we're looking for our item renderer. I can't remember if we're supposed to subtract or add the offset. Let's search. You're going to see crappy code in my streams. I don't hide it, especially considering parts of this project are years old at this point. I kind of just like what you see now, just working it over time. We also want to offset our avatars to save time for a look. I don't think that's stored in a registry, so we'll pull that right here. Offset. Oh crap. I forgot. We don't implement a depth system. These offsets might not be relevant. Math isn't my strongest point. Like I usually find programmatic solutions to get there. But I'm sure we can figure something out. Let's just first start with testing our image offsets here. Okay, so what we're going to do right in here, well, we should pull this out here.
Sorry for the late reply, my internet is bad and use JavaScript, mostly framework like Next.js or React.
Choices. So essentially it's a website for a small crypto vendor. It's like one of the best things you built, feel good about, because I was able to learn new ways of writing code and put my skills to the test. It's kind of my first official web project. That's 100%. That's what it's all about, and that's what I'm talking about. That's literally it. The way we get stronger in anything, but especially coding, it's just giving ourselves new challenges and biting on something you might not be 100% comfortable with at first, because you'll learn something out of it, won't you? That's awesome. So we'll do item dot. You'll see the canvas in Node.js is very similar to the canvas we have in JavaScript, which is nice. Yeah, so that should respect our offsets there. Do we want to respect image flip? I think so. Let me Google how do I do that again. I'm constantly Googling. So we use translate. Oh, you can flip it doing a scale. Interesting. Let's try it. So what was it? I think the property was called R. Fascinating stuff, guys. Oh no, we want to flip the image. We'd have to draw a new canvas if we want to flip the image. That's barbaric. Alright, I'll be right back. Where were we? Let's try it with the offsets first. It's kind of a pain, I do have to reboot the server. I could set up like a file watcher to automatically trigger this. We might do that. And I do need to load the room in the HTML5 version in order to populate the context for it. I have to fix this. Let's fix that right now. That's annoying. Okay, let's do a quick phaser update. It should be loading the room that was previously in. So let's go ahead and keep that. See all these unstaged changes? Very bad. There's so many. I think it's a map. Yes, sir. Let's revert this change and quickly rebuild our server. And while that's doing its thing, we'll go out and test our offset situation. Okay, so we're gonna have one avatar in the system and one item. We should get more items in this room for the test. So let's go. Oh, I gotta fix this as well. No lack of things to do, guys. All right. Let's pop a flag down as well. We don't want to use any animated items. I don't have any support for sprite sheets as of yet. I think this is non-animated. And we don't have any stack support. Alright, so if we go here, it's not even showing the item. Interesting. Ooh, I wonder if you'll see the PSP update when I move items about. Let's see. We're not seeing that. Question is why. It's very curious. Let's take a look at the data that we're getting out. Okay, we're just seeing the present. So essentially this is like a cache status. I thought I was pulling it from our WebSocket state. So let's go see what's going on. I think that's implemented. Where is it? So there's many components that are working together to make all this work. So you have to bear with me. Items, room items, map. Are we updating this? We should be. Alright, we're gonna hop into my little plugin system. And it's not in there, it must be in the main room source code. Join room. Okay, so how are we pulling items? Are we pulling it from database or are we pulling it from memory? We're pulling it from memory. Do I have to reload the room in order for this to pick it up? Yes, interesting. Okay, so you did see items appear on the PSP. They are off screen, so let's fix that big issue. We have some serious issues with our renderer. I think it's to do with this get isometric point code. I think it's to do with this logic. It's not matching up with what we're doing on a client-side implementation. Huh. I think our first step is we're definitely missing some tiles in our render. So why don't we go see why? Okay, this is happening in here. Let's remove this check, just see what happens. Oh no. Still not rendering all the tiles. Well, is it? It is. Okay, so it's rendering the rest of them, but we're still wrongly rendering stuff. I think what I'm gonna have to do is like implement our math to be exact to what we're doing on the client. All right, I don't want to do that. purposes of this test as well, we're going to add some tiles to this room. It'd be nice if it updated on the system as I was doing it. Having to reload the room is problematic, so we'll fix that to speed up testing. And time, because I do want to get a little nap before work. Now it should update in PSP. Yep. So that's working at least. If we move our avatar around, you see I'm moving about on the PSP screen. Very cool. And if we fire up our YouTube system again, on our local, we'll get our avatars back. Cooper, good to see you, buddy. Yeah, I know. Absolutely nuts. All I can say is, apparently some people think school shootings are okay. I don't think they are. I think they're very bad. It's kind of creepy how people cheer on others' death. It doesn't matter if you like them or not. I think that's bad. That's the sort of stuff that, I don't know, very dark. But Coop, if you take a look, I have a YouTube live chat working on the PSP if you're into that thing. It's been an absolute nut to implement. I'll tell you, things aren't looking too bright in America right now. My company is doing mass layoffs again, and if you take a look at the numbers, it's happening everywhere. So I think I might end up working for the bloody power company. Seems to be one of the few things that withstands like severe economic downturns. People still need power. I pay like bloody $400 a month for my electric. It's so much money. Alright, what was I testing now? That's super cool that we have everyone in. My perspective on America is a little different than most. Like, I've lived here a long time, but I'm not from here, so I'm a little bit more pragmatic. Like, I've never voted here. I don't have the right to vote, and I'm fine with that. So, what I say doesn't matter. But I've never been one for like parties or any of that crap. In the UK, you'll get laughed at for thinking that like your vote has any impact on anything, or that's a joke. Let's see. Still recording. Some B-roll for our clips over here. It's always so rewarding to see avatars on the screen. It doesn't matter if it's broken to hell. It just does something for my soul. There. So what we're doing.
Babalola Sheriff Dean says, are you using JavaScript?
Babalola, yes sir. Sorry if you're not sir, but yes, absolutely. And this is a 20-year-old PSP. And your chat is showing up on it, so thank you for that. Very, very cool. And this entire system that you're seeing and hearing, I've coded in JavaScript. And this is just like the latest tentacle of it reaching into the PSP. Super, super happy. Appreciate the question. Okay, so what do I want to do now? We've got two main things to do. We've got to re-implement our exact same logic we're doing in the HTML5 version on our server-side canvas renderer. And then we have to... What is it? 520 AM brain. Need a notepad, I already forgot. Heck, if you folks want to try this out, I know there's two of you over there, I'll wire this up. Your chats will come in the PSP. Like, it'll be the first test, so let me just connect it just in case. For some reason, the movement's not working on kick. Cool. I don't know what I wanted to do before I did this. What was it? Start making a list. So we need to The ants invaded my desk. Folks watching have any suggestions and get more people on these streams and see what the hell I'm doing over here, I'm all ears. Touch the PSP, look.
Can you teach me React one-on-one?
Ebola, we could do it on a stream. We can do it literally one-on-one here. So one thing I'll ask from you, make sure you join the Discord. And I think that'd be interesting dev stream to start React. Can you give me an idea on how much JavaScript you know? How long you've been working in JavaScript? That's a good start. I think that'd be a fun video to do here as well. So if you don't mind doing it all together, we should do it. Look, we've got an out of memory warning. So this is what I'm working with, 2 megabytes of RAM. And so I wonder that it worked this well. I think there's just too much image data now being rendered. So it's giving us an idea of how much. One of the things we could do to adjust for that is, instead of waiting 10 updates to trigger the GC or the garbage collector, we could drop it to like 7.
I know basics things in JavaScript, like data types, oop.
Okay. Well, that's very good. And I think that'll make it easier for you to pick up React. One of the things that you should know about React though, so class components are technically, like, I don't know if they're deprecated, but they're not encouraged anymore. I'm a fan of such things, but when it comes to React, classes make very little sense. So we'd be working with building functional components. And so one of the things that I want you to be aware of, a lot of React is handled via dependency injection. So it makes your code super clean as a result, but it can, because you're not referencing things globally, ever. I think what we'll do then, maybe tomorrow night, if you're down for it, we'll do a React intro course. Do you want to do like Next.js React, like start server side as well? been something I've wanted to do on stream is dig into next. So it's funny because web development is kind of going back to how things used to be in a way. When I first started building stuff like 20 years ago, you'd have PHP generate the HTML and then you just use JavaScript to kind of inject into the page. And it's almost like we're getting back to that again. One of the main reasons is search engine optimization. Right, so I think what I'll do is I'll just quickly test. If we do drop down an update interval, that solves our garbage collector error, or we've found out the limit of how many avatars the PSP will be able to support. So let's go ahead and quickly do that. Oh man, I can't wait to show you guys just how much is not supported on the PSP. I have so many examples. Alright, let's drop this to 6. I have to go shopping for groceries tomorrow. I've like been meaning to do it for over a week now. I haven't done it. Okay, so let's see if this triggers a crash. If it doesn't, I'll start winding down. Babaloa, make sure you join the Discord. I'll message you when I go live with the React intro stuff, and I think that'll be a great stream. No way. Let's go ahead and clear a cache and try again. I hope this gives you guys an idea that, like, it's a wonder that this even works at all, just how much I'm running into memory errors. So we'll zoom in for a second and take a look and see if it craps out. That's super cool, man. I've seen anything on the PSP. Like, I've done, it's cool. Alright. Well, unless I jinx myself, I think we're okay. So I'm gonna wind down the stream. It's currently 5:30 AM where I'm at. And my personal life is a fucking nightmare right now, I'll be honest. Make sure you're subscribed, join the Discord, and if you see this video, leave a comment, like it, push it in the algorithm if you can. Cheers. Shut it down.
And that concludes our PSP dev demo.
Feel free to join us tomorrow night for getting into React and Next.js, and just a continuation of what we're building here.